As you complete your search of the library, you finally found the dusty old tomb that you heard the rumors about. The occultist of your group, without the group's knowledge, decides to take a peek of what's in the book. He opens to the first few pages and he begins to read out loud. He doesn't understand the words, but he cannot stop himself from speaking, for he is now caught by the madness of this book. And he begins to say the words out loud. Azathoth, Ea! Azathoth, Ea! And the group scrambling to figure out what is he doing. And as soon as the group finally reaches him to stop him from reading the book, a dark, bloody form starts to crawl out of the crevices of the floor and begin to undulate and amass together to form a dark spawn. As everyone sees this entity, they begin to lose what they thought was their grasp on reality. Roll for sanity.
Hi, I'm Anthony Darkson.
And I'm Roland Slyshadow.
And together, we are the Twin Dragons. Welcome to our channel, where we discuss everything tabletop role-playing games. So, what's on today's agenda?
Today we're going to talk about my favorite tabletop role-playing game, Call of Cthulhu. The Call of Cthulhu tabletop role-playing game is based off the universe created by H.P. Lovecraft. It is a universe of cosmic horror and existential dread, where your players do investigation to dig deeper into what's behind the dark curtain of our universe, only to find the horrors that lie within. In Call of Cthulhu, the Game Master is called the Keeper of Arcane Lore. He will tell the stories that will take these players into adventures of discovery and madness.
Call of Cthulhu doesn't have classes like you would normally think of mages and warriors. They actually have professions. Professions are roles like teachers, a cop, an investigator.
We're talking a dancer, a dilettante, even a hobo.
Or you can be an occult leader, or even a mad scientist.
Remember, your players are just everyday characters, everyday people. They have jobs, homes, families like everybody else. The only difference is they got caught up in some crazy story of Eldritch Horror. Call of Cthulhu, in the role-playing aspect, is a game of investigation, first and foremost. Now, within this, your players will actually do many type of adventures that they have to solve a mystery. A lot of whodunits, or find out about a mystic artifact, or try to solve some kind of strange event. And that's where the core of Call of Cthulhu truly lies. Now, that's not to say there's no action, because there is. It is a dangerous, dangerous game where, as the investigators are just humans and regular Joes who get stuck in this crazy adventure, the danger is real.
Unlike other tabletop role-playing games, your players are not some heroic warriors or mages who have a large pool of life. Dangerous is because, well, weapons cause a lot of damage. Your players don't have a lot of life, so they have to think and be smart on each of their actions and moves to ensure that they survive.
Now, that's not to say that there can't be a more adventure-focused Call of Cthulhu campaign. There are rules that allow you to supplement the base Call of Cthulhu, as in Pulp Cthulhu, which turns your investigators from professors to adventurers like Indiana Jones.
Now, not to say that you're just going to be walking up and punching Cthulhu in the face. It's still a dangerous combat situation. Even in the Pulp rule set, combat can still be quite dangerous.
Not many people can take a gunshot and live to tell the tale. The types of investigations that your party will probably do are things like searching through old libraries to find a mystic tomb, or dig through a cavernous ancient temple that has not been set foot by any living being since before the ancient times.
Investigation is also not limited to researching and discovering artifacts and documents, but also can include puzzles.
Investigation can also include finding out through interviews and talking to various NPCs to try to solve a whodunit mystery.
It also could include infiltrating cults and different organizations and finding your way into a lockdown facility or a cult church in order to find said artifact.
And on the action side, it is more than just punching your way through cultists, but also facing dark entities like Shoggoths and formless spawns.
Now, it can be as simple as pulling a shotgun on these evil creatures, or maybe through discovery of clues or other items that might help you in those combat situations with these dark creatures.
As it may be finding an ancient tomb which you learn spells which allows you to battle the great mythos creatures, or an ancient dagger which has the ability to pierce the impenetrable hides of formless spawns,
or a magical flute which puts these creatures at ease so you're able to navigate and circumvent the combat situation.
Regardless, Call of Cthulhu has a plethora and has much to offer when it comes to investigation and action. Now, Call of Cthulhu is unique compared to other tabletop role-playing games where it is not based on one or other types of fantasy worlds. It is based within our own world, within our own reality, where we live and breathe on our normal day-to-day, just not knowing that behind the curtains of our reality are mysteries and horrors unknown to us. The settings of Call of Cthulhu are as varied as the history of humankind itself.
Call of Cthulhu starts off by exploring the time period of the 20s and 30s, where beat cops on the streets are roaming, detectives walking around in fedoras, speakeasies to explore in a time period that feels alive in our history.
A time of bootleggers and Tommy guns. But outside the base setting of Call of Cthulhu, you have so much resources to explore all times of our history, even modern time, where computers and cell phones are prominent. And you may think, how can horror live in modern time? Think about the ghosts and the machines, creatures and elder horrors that have adapted within our technology, using it or going through it to interact with our current world.
Think about evil cults infiltrating top tiers of our government or other parts of society.
Think of X-Files, where the strange occurrences and aliens could be more than just extraterrestrial.
Another part of our history you can explore through a add-on to Call of Cthulhu is Invictus, allowing you to explore the ancient Roman times, a time of chariots and armies, a time of Caesar,
A time where ancient libraries are not ancient, where some of the lost secrets can easily be found. Another time period is Cthulhu by Gaslight, a time of late Victorian era, the late 1800s. We're talking Sherlock Holmes and mysteries of that such. We're talking Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Even maybe the great mysteries of Jack the Ripper, who may have been a Shoggoth in disguise.
a time period where you must work hand in hand with the constable of Scotland Yard to help identify and track mysterious cults or whispers in the back alley streets.
But Call of Cthulhu doesn't have to be limited to current times or even history. What about the future? A dark future, in the vein of Aliens, but with Eldritch Horrors. Space is a deep, dark, unknown region where the greatest of elder gods could be lurking.
Think of taking inspiration from other horror movies, such as Event Horizon, where just beyond the edge of space, another dimension where evil lives.
As you can see, Call of Cthulhu in its setting can be varied and wide. The rules are setting neutral for the most part, which allows you to actually expand your campaign to be more than just the same old back alley down the street. You have a wider range of history to explore.
Now that we've talked about the different settings, time periods, and inspirational elements to add into your game, well, let's dig into the mechanics.
Call of Cthulhu is a skill-based system. There's no leveling up and getting multiple hit points and becoming a master mage or a heroic warrior. It's all about just basic skills that you would think that any old human could actually learn. Skills like lockpicking or persuasion.
Skills like driving or dodging, or even skills in weapons
like handguns and rifles. Progression in Call of Cthulhu is one of my favorite aspects of it. Because it is a skill-based system, it's more off of increasing or having a chance to increase skills that you've actually used throughout the adventure or campaign, instead of just leveling up and then putting a skill in some random feat that you've never done before in your whole life.
Skill-based systems are easy to learn and adapt. Understanding that basic concept of, well, you use it and you're successful in it means you get better at it.
Now, the skills are used for completing challenges. Everything that you do in Call of Cthulhu using the mechanics is challenge-based. As in, there's a door. I must unlock the door, so I use my lockpicking skill. And what we roll, instead of what most people are used to in a D20, we actually use a percentile system. As in, I have 50% in my skill of lockpicking. Now I'll roll 2d10s, or percentile dice, and then make that determination. Did I go under my skill? If I rolled under, then I succeeded in that skill, and I get to actually win that challenge. Now, if you happen to fail your roll, there's a mechanic which I find very interesting. It's called the push mechanic. It allows you to re-roll your dice, but have consequences if failed for that second time.
This is a great way to add amazing story elements to generate excitement to create hesitation within your players to say, hey, are you sure you want to try one more time? And allow that players to truly embrace that moment and throw that dice one more time.
An example would be, let's say you see a cliff that you actually have to climb. Because you know up there you hear screams and someone's in trouble. You may look at the climb, roll, fail, determine, hey, I don't think I can make it. The push is, hey, I'm going to try anyways because I really need to get up there. The consequences being, I just may fall and injure myself. Or the consequences don't even have to be failure. You can succeed in the story has to go, so I will get up there, but the consequences of whatever's happening up there, they're aware of my arrival. And then I am now involved in whatever horrors are at the top of the hill.
Keepers, don't hesitate or hold back. Allow your players that opportunity to push those dice and just be prepared to make those moments memorable no matter what the consequences are. In this skill-based system, as you progress, your skill percentage increases. Thus, to succeed, you have to roll below that percentage.
It's an easy to understand and grasp intuitive system, which is actually perfect for any new tabletop players, where they don't have to get bogged down in very advanced mechanics. One of my favorite mechanics in Call of Cthulhu is the luck system. It is a percentage base, just like all the other skills, but you could actually spend the points of your luck to actually complete a challenge for a different skill that you may have failed, or wanting a better level of success. As an example, let's say you are trying to pick a lock. That lock, if you failed your roll, let's say the lock required you to roll a success. So you roll your success, and then you're like, well, I have a 60% chance to succeed, but I rolled a 75. Is it over? Can you not succeed? Well, you still can. With luck, you could burn your luck points, spend equal amount of luck for equal amount of missing percentage to turn your 75 into a 60, thus allowing you to complete that challenge.
Luck can also be used as a story-driven element to support the players in certain situations, such as, well, you are finding yourself walking into a dark cave, and the players realize, wait, do we not have flashlights? Well, you can roll your luck to see if maybe you happen to had remembered and you had packed away somewhere deep in your backpack, you discover a flashlight.
That being said, the more you use your luck points to succeed in skill challenges, the less luck you have to get through those kind of situations. Even bad situations like maybe the game master, the keeper of arcane lore, decides, hey, I think the person with the lowest luck is going to get hit by that meteorite.
A meteorite?
Sure.
Now let's dive in to one of the most important mechanics of Call of Cthulhu, which is sanity.
Just like in the works of H.P. Lovecraft, the protagonists usually end up suffering from some underlying insanity. Thus, the sanity mechanic. Your keeper will ask you to roll your sanity level, which is represented in a percentile. As you do, you may succeed or fail that roll. If you fail, you may take damage to that sanity in then lowering your sanity percentage, which then causes your next instance of rolling your sanity to be even harder to succeed, and so on, as your character slowly slips into unending madness. As your characters slip deeper and deeper into insanity, they begin to hit levels of temporary indefinite, and permanent insanity. And in between these, your characters will experience bouts of madness, unreconcilable, unintended effects that the players will have to act out contrary to their actual normal actions. These bouts of madness can be varied from the character just yelling at the top of their lungs to seeing visions that are not there and begin to attack your players, thinking that your players are some evil creatures. Or just running away in horror as you happen to have the keys to the truck in your pocket and now the players are without a means of transportation. As in most skills, the keeper will use this as a story-driven point. The whole point of Call of Cthulhu is horror. That is the underlying theme. And that's where the sanity mechanic comes into use. It is such a great point or mechanic to use in a story, to really make the unpredictable happen, to make things that your players would not expect to happen. These elements will absolutely create memorable moments for your players throughout your game. One unique skill to the Call of Cthulhu tabletop role-playing game is the Mythos skill. A skill which defines your knowledge of the curtain and what's behind it. This is not a normal skill. Your characters just can't use it and get better at it. This is something they can only increase through experience and cracking open Mythos tombs. What's interesting about this skill is that it starts at a very low number. Usually starts around 0 or 5. And as you start to experience more of this crazy world, the skill will go up as you read tomes and or have experiences with Mythos creatures. And because of that, it actually starts to affect your overall sanity. Your maximum sanity is always lowered by your Mythos skill. So if your character started with a 60 sanity as their max, there is no way that they can go over 60. With the Mythos skill increases, let's say by 5 or 10, it lowers the maximum sanity of that character, so it goes down to 55 or 50. The more you learn of the great Mythos, the closer you are to madness. Some cool role-playing elements that Call of Cthulhu brings to your table. There are emphasis within the rulebook that actually recommends highly that you give handouts and or props to your players. Something tangible that they could actually read or investigate within their game. This could be as simple as a note from a mysterious individual or a map to a secret underground library. It can go as far as props like a ancient scepter or maybe a book, which is actually a tome of eldritch knowledge. Whatever these objects are, providing these in a physical form to your players creates something tangible that they can truly get excited about. Now for keepers, or who are going to run Call of Cthulhu games, there are some things you can use from other systems that will enhance your current adventure or campaign. Something like, one of my favorites is the inspiration system from Dungeons & Dragons. Some kind of reward to give players who had a great role-playing moment something to look forward to. Maybe that player came up with a creative solution to navigate a complex puzzle or problem. Or if you're doing a Call of Cthulhu game in space and in the future, using other systems books like Traveler, which has tons of information on spaceships and such. But Game Masters, there's also so much you could take from Call of Cthulhu to add to your other systems and games.
such as the sanity mechanic. What a great mechanic to add into your game or campaign that you want to make dark with horror elements to create a consequence or a driving force that truly impacts the player's experience.
Another mechanic which would be fun to actually bring into other games and systems would be the luck mechanic. Something that really helps and boosts the players out. Or gives the keeper an opportunity to use a statistic or stat that will allow them to pick on players that have the lowest luck without being so mean or being called mean.
Another mechanic that we mentioned earlier is the ability to push your dice rolls and add possible consequences to dice, allowing your players to try again, but know that there could be consequences that'll help drive some impactful story elements. So we talked about the different elements, time periods, mechanics. Well, let's wrap up with our final thoughts.
As I have mentioned many times before, Call of Cthulhu is one of my favorite game systems. It's easy to grasp with the percentile system, but at the same time, it adds story elements like horror and luck to really drive an interesting campaign.
The horror flavor is a favorite of mine as well. The dark undertones, the mysteries, the investigative nature of it all, and even thrown in with a little bit of combat to create a well-rounded experience for your players.
If you've had experience with Call of Cthulhu, comment down below. Let us know your experiences and how you feel about this wonderful, horrible game.
If you like this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Also, don't forget to hit that notification bell and subscribe to our channel as we have a lot more content coming out soon. Until then, see you next time.